All right, welcome back to the unofficial review. I'm Seeds, and this is my football review. Today I'm going to be talking about my team. I've yet to actually come out and say what my team is, and so I'm hoping I don't ruffle too many feathers and neglect and alienate the thousands of followers that I have, or I think it may be 3. But either way, don't want to piss anybody off. But yeah, I just want to come out with who my team is, where I came from, yeah, I'm sure I'll break a few hearts, but. Hopefully I don't offend too many people. So here it is. That's right. I grew up in suburb of Seattle. I've lived out there for 18 years. I've been living in Montana for 13. But yeah, it's one of those things where, you don't get to necessarily pick your team. And fortunately, my team's been getting better over the last few years. But that's one of the tough things that comes with that team getting better is that, then you get people that, I say about 5 years ago, the biggest comment I'd have made when I told people I was a Seahawk fan was, oh, sorry. And now it's, oh, really? That's convenient. It's one of those things where I didn't anticipate with my team finally taking that next step and becoming one of the top shelf teams. I didn't anticipate some of the negativities that would be coming with it. And a lot of it is, people hate you because you're a threat to their team's potential of going to the playoffs. You do start to get those BS calls your way, as I've discussed in other episodes, where yes, we have had some BS calls, and they've been correlated with us doing well. So it's like once we did well, that was the thing. I was terrified going to Super Bowl 48. I was terrified that we were going to get screwed out of the game just because we were the by far smallest market of the two teams with us and Denver. Denver was a much bigger market, so I was terrified we were going to get screwed with bad calls. But worked out. We won the game. So, but yes. So since then, yes, I've most definitely seen a lot of BS calls go our way. And again, you look at the markets. But so I want to talk about my team, especially my team has gone 1-1 the last 2 weeks. I guess it'd just be 1-1. They've got a tie and a loss in the last 2 weeks, and like the norm of the NFL coverage, they're all about what happened in the last 2 weeks, and so they look at it and they're like, well, crap, they lost and they tied, so they're not that good. I'm not too worried. It's one of those things where unfortunately we do this every year, and there's just there's some circumstances that So I'm gonna start with a tie. I'm gonna start with that 6-6 tie in Arizona. Honestly, I was happy it was a tie. A lot of people, I couldn't believe the fact that we actually almost won in overtime. I did not think we had a chance the way that offense wasn't playing. Our offense was not playing in that game. But honestly, to me, a tie was perfect. And by that I mean that defense deserved to win. That both the defenses in that team in that game deserved to win because they played their hearts out. I could not believe how many times our defense made a play time and again, drive after drive. So that's what's so damn frustrating, is seeing that offense not compliment, not be like, hey, you got our back so many downs now. Now we're going to reward that hard work and put some points up so you guys don't have to play so hard. So that was just so damn frustrating. That's kind of why I like that as a tie, because I'm like, our offense did not deserve a win. And by that I mean, it's like, that's one of the things that I learned with Super Bowl 49, was that you can learn some stuff with a loss. It blows. That loss was very rough. Unfortunately, my second son was born that day after the Super Bowl, so I was immediately distracted and was able to put my focus elsewhere. But yes, that was a very painful loss. But that was one of the things that it gave me perspective. I started to realize, honestly, and that's the kind of funny thing, is I never looked at it that way until we had gone to Super Bowl a second time back to back, and then we lost, and we were that close from actually winning. That was one of the things that it taught me, was that in reality, there's 31 teams that fail every year. There's 31 teams that are sad and are disappointed. And so for us to be able to have that magical NFC Championship game leading up to that Super Bowl trip, that's kind of what I took from it, make the best of it. But that's being said, and that's one of the things that dawned on me, and that's why I'm saying with this tie, I was happy with this tie because it rewarded the defense in that we didn't lose, but it did not reward the offense that didn't deserve to win. And by that I mean, you learn stuff from yourself when you lose. You learn, it's one of those things where I think that if we had won, not to say that it would have been guaranteed, but if we had won, we wouldn't necessarily have learned a lesson, because we would have been like, oh, it doesn't matter what the circumstances, it doesn't matter how bad it looks, we could still win. I'm like, yes, you need to have that mentality, but you don't need to be, it needs to be a point where, like you need to be able, when you touch the burner, it's hot. And so if you touch the burner, it's not hot, well, you're going to keep touching the burner, and so you're not going to learn your lesson. So that's how I'd put that with that tie. To me, that teaches our offense a lesson. Hey, you can't bullshit. You can't play half-assed all the game and then just bring it at the last 10 minutes of the game, including overtime, and think that that's going to be enough. you need to bring it 60 freaking minutes. And that's one of the things too that kind of dawned on me with this loss with the Saints. Was unfortunately I didn't get to watch the beginning of it because the overtime with the Bengals game. I didn't get to see the first 10 minutes of the game or something. But yeah, so I was watching over the game, and honestly, we didn't play that bad on offense. There were some poor choices of, I don't know. I mean, I'm concerned. I feel like the reason that we didn't run the ball a lot in the first half, and that we haven't run the ball consistently, is I kind of feel like the offensive coordinator. I don't know who's behind it, but it kind of seems like everyone's going to this point where it's like it's on Russell Wilson, which it is. But that means, I mean, if you have a running back that can get 6 yards every freaking down, which it looked like that's what Michael was doing for most of the game, usually it works, especially with a gimp Russell Wilson. You know, I think Russell Wilson can make those passes, but hey, if your run is making them so that they can't stop it, if you can run 2 runs and get a first down every time, do that the whole freaking game. As far as I'm concerned, that's just going to let Russell Wilson relax and let those legs heal up and that ankle and what have you. So it's just one of those things where that was a frustrating point when you see 13 carries from your lead running back and he was averaging 5-6 yards a carry. Why the hell did you stop? So it was very frustrating seeing them again. And how I would put it, that's one of the things that I've noticed with the Seahawks the last few years, was they make it a lot harder than it has to be. That was just one of those things where going back to Super Bowl 48 when the Seahawks went and just beat the hell out of the Denver Broncos. One of the things that I want to say that year, we were the leading team that was penalized. We had the most penalties on both sides of our ball, on defense and on offense. And that was one of the things that to me was just magnified how good of a team they were, was that they had so much talent that they could make penalty after penalty after penalty and undo work and this and that, and still win games, and still win dominantly, as you saw in Super Bowl 48. So that was one of the things that I've noticed, especially with a no beast mode, Marshawn Lynch is my favorite player. When I saw Beastquake, I just lost my mind and fell in love with that guy because the amount of work he puts into every freaking run was just so rewarding. So this year is definitely a tough year to be dealing with no beast mode on the field, because he just brought life to me when I watched the game. There was a whole nother level I would bring up my intensity when I was watching football and Marshawn was out there. But that being said, so the torch has been passed to Russell Wilson. But the problem is right now is that he's gimpy. He does not have nearly as much mobility. And so that was the thing that was frustrating with the Cardinals game, was that they had, I think it was like it wasn't the Cardinals game. I apologize. It was the Saints game. I want to say it was like, it was. Anyhow, they had a read option, and it was the first quarter against Arizona. That's what it was. Yes, first quarter against Arizona. It was 3rd and 1, and they had a read option. And I was like, this is the first quarter. Russell Wilson isn't nearly as mobile as usual. So why are you having him go against, like I said, don't make it harder than it has to be. Obviously, a read option or Russell keeping the ball towards the end of the game when people have like lost track and they're like, all right, this is what their game has been for all this time. That's when you pull the freaking rabbit out of the hat. Not when people are looking for it. Not when people are looking to see how the trick's done. People were looking for it. You could tell that the Cardinals were not tricked. That his lack of mobility was going to take that play away. So especially when you play a read option, that's the problem. Is that if they're going to want to run Russell Wilson, they need to be a little trickier about it. And again, not pull that freaking ripcord way too damn soon. And again, too, that's the thing, is that their defense, it's not playing nearly as well against the Saints, and that's what it was you look at Cam Chancellor, no Cam Chancellor, you look at no Michael Bennett, and so forth. And that's the thing, was Michael Bennett's the best pass rusher they got, and Cam Chancellor is, he's a bruiser. He's a freaking guy that makes guys not want to catch balls. And he's a hell of a good coverage, too. That's the thing that's great about him, is he's a tall guy, and so he's real good about disrupting in the middle of the field. And that's the thing, too, is especially those cross routes that the Saints were pulling off. Cam would have been bringing the freaking pain on I think it was Snead for the Saints. I think that's his name. Anyhow, he would have making him hurt. And so it's just one of those things where obviously you can't just guarantee anything and plug that guy in. But, those crucial guys were missing. And so that's the thing, is our defense, while very talented, while they made plays and so forth, they aren't going to be playing 100% necessarily. And so it's just one of those things where, like I'm saying, these Seahawks just need to get more focused on production. And again, too, it's just almost to the point, too, where it seems like they're overthinking the circumstances. Like they need to make points or anything, and then you realize, just getting a few first downs and changing field position is a mission accomplished. That's something they didn't do in Arizona that, could have most certainly changed the outcome of the game, is simply just by getting a few more first downs and giving your defense rest. that's an accomplishment. But again, too, it's just they need to play smart football. That's the thing that killed me. And the biggest part, and this is kind of coming back to the fact that, you got a gimpy Russell Wilson. You don't have beast mode. Defense is missing some key players. So what do you do? And to me, that's one of the things that they haven't done. And again, like I said, they haven't needed to. But what they need to do is they really need to get disciplined. They need to get disciplined, because if they would just get disciplined, so many times they've undone huge plays. And like I said, in the past, it didn't matter because they had so many playmakers and they were so flipping talented with all that excess wealth. I mean, essentially they had beast mode and Russell Wilson, which were dual threats, and so it was kind of a pick your poison as people approached that team. But that was the problem, was that we don't have beast mode anymore. Thomas Rawls is out. Christy Michael, I really like his work ethic, but he isn't beast mode, so he's not that same threat. I do like how he runs, but it's just one of those things where, to me, that's the most crucial thing. That's one of the things I noticed, and especially in this last week's game against the Saints, was that there was a point where we had they just got a first down with Jimmy Graham, brought it down to the 5, and then the offense did a false start, and it pushed them back 5 yards, and so the final play on the third down, it brought it down to, so it ended up being like, I think, 4th and 1, 4th and 2, and then you can't compute it, but that 5-yard loss when you're up short 2, doing the math, that's touchdown, that's 3 yards of touchdown. Granted, it didn't necessarily guarantee anything. The coverage might have been a little different, but that's one of the things I'm noticing, is that their lack of discipline is starting to bite them in the ass. When in the past, like I said, it didn't matter. But that's the thing, is that, and that's the thing too, is that as Russell Wilson's growing up, as he's maturing, he's be able to read defense and so forth, and he's becoming the leader of this team and this offense. That's one of the things that they need to realize, is that they need to adjust with certain things. And that's one of the things that I really want to see with them, is they don't have to be the most disciplined team, which I would probably refer to the most disciplined team in the NFL as probably the Patriots. But they don't even have to be the most disciplined team. They just need to be more disciplined. They don't want to be in the bottom 5 least disciplined teams. They need to be right in the middle. And I think the win column would just fill up. They would just stop shooting themselves in the foot before they go on a freaking run. So that's kind of my message to the Seahawks. It's just once again, you have to redefine the offense. You got to figure out what's going to work for you. But honestly, goodness, I'm a huge believer in Russell Wilson. I think he's a bomb. I love the fact that we have. To me, he is that top echelon guy, that Brett Favre, that Peyton Manning, that Drew Brees, that Aaron Rodgers. That guy is going to give you a chance every down, and that guy who can make plays that nobody else can make. So slow down, calm down. There's no reason to freaking panic. But they just need to refocus. They need to, again, learn from their mistakes. Why did we lose? Like I say, go to the why, and you'll be able to figure out a lot. Be able to correct a lot of problems. So that's the thing. That's one of the things that I've noticed is why they've been losing is a lack of discipline. And in the past, it didn't bite them in the ass, but it has been. It's just making them harder to convert third downs. It's making them harder to get production when they're not being disciplined. So Seahawks, get disciplined, because I know you got another Super Bowl in you. But I want to see it. I want to see this discipline. This come. The 12th man's going to get your back this week. So I want you to get their back and have a solid performance. Again, it's one of those things where if a team plays us and they're better, okay. But so many times I've seen the Seahawks lose or tie in this circumstance. It was because of they shot themselves in the foot. They just did not play their best ball. We play our best ball. There's not a lot of people that could beat us, if any. So I want to see that, Seahawks. I want to do it strong. All right, Seahawks out.